Hi everyone, Monica here, and for today's video, I'm going to share how I literally paid nothing for my college tuition fee and basically got my degree for free through a scholarship, how I got that scholarship, and my experience being a scholar throughout my college years. I'm putting this video out here in the hopes of being able to help students who are trying to make college more affordable for them, or even parents who are trying to find ways for them to still be able to send their children in college. I hope this video will be able to help you because we all know tuition fees are getting more and more expensive. Back in my day, they were already expensive. I don't know if there's any limit to these things, but yeah, let's hope for the best, and I hope this video helps you out. So before I start, I just wanted to put out a disclaimer out there that I am not in any way affiliated or connected to the agencies or institutions that I'm going to mention in this video. If you are interested in applying for scholarships through these organizations, please head on directly to their website or their physical offices. We all know there are a lot of scammers on the internet. Please don't fall for anyone who's trying to get money from you. And with that being said, before I start with the specific details, I hope you can subscribe to my channel, click on the notification bell button so you can be updated in my upcoming videos, and give this video a like if you can. And without further ado, let's get started. So let me start by telling you the different kinds of scholarships that are offered out there. So the first kind of scholarship that you can get is actually an academic scholarship. For this kind of scholarship, you can actually obtain them and maintain them just by having a certain GWA, or general weighted average, or in short, grade. So usually that's like 85% and above. So once you are able to maintain that kind of grade, then you'll be able to enjoy the benefits of a scholarship. And then opposite to that is actually a working scholarship, wherein you will have to render a certain amount or hours of work in exchange for a certain institution paying for your tuition, or if in case you get this working scholarship from the university that you are studying at, then they'll be able to cut off some amounts from your tuition, or maybe make your tuition free. It depends on what kind of arrangement you have with your university or that certain institution. We can also classify scholarships as government granted or company or private institution granted. This is a key information because sometimes you can actually apply to multiple scholarships and enjoy those benefits all at once. So from what I've seen when I was in college, there are actually students who are able to get government academic scholarships and as well as private company sponsored scholarships. Again, it depends on your contract. Usually there will be an agreement. So for government granted scholarship, you can only have one, but they would actually allow you to get another one from a private organization. So if you're interested in having multiple scholarships, be sure to communicate this with the provider of the scholarship that you may have already acquired. Let's make sure we're not breaking any rules here. We don't want to lose any scholarship. Some of the government institutions that are highly known to offer academic scholarships are DOST or Department of Science and Technology for STEM or STEM related courses. DOH, Department of Health for medical or pre-med courses. And then Commission in Higher Education. And sometimes mayors or institutions in our city or barangay, they can also offer scholarships. So those are the ones that you can acquire from the government. For private institutions offering scholarships, of course, we have the SM Foundation, Petron, Aboitiz, and many more. I'll be dropping down a list below in my description box, and I hope that you can check them out. Again, do not believe any person that will come to you. You have to come to those institutions that I mentioned, fill up a form, and provide documents for them to consider you for a scholarship. Don't fall for anyone saying that if you pay this certain amount, they will be able to help you with a scholarship. Be very discerning. Now let's talk about the scholarship that I was able to acquire and was able to help me get my engineering degree for free, basically. The scholarship that I had was actually a government academic scholarship. So it was a scholarship where I only had to study and maintain a certain GWA, which at that time was 85. And this scholarship was granted by one of the government institutions, which is owwa. owwa, if you haven't heard about it, it stands for Overseas Workers Welfare Administration. They are the government institution that looks out for the welfares of our OFWs and as well as give benefits to OFWs families. So I was a beneficiary by my father, who was an OFW. Aside from that, he was actually also an active paying member of owwa. That is very important. So the kind of scholarship that I was able to get from owwa was the Education for Development Scholarship Program. It's a full academic scholarship from owwa, which gives me 60,000 per year. So regardless of how much my tuition fee is, I was able to get the 60,000 per year benefit from the owwa EDSP scholarship. For you to be able to qualify for this kind of scholarship, you actually have to be a beneficiary of an OFW who is an active paying member of owwa, and you're the first and only one to be applying for this kind of scholarship. So what this means is, for example, you have a sibling and you're both beneficiaries of an OFW, then only one of you will be able to enjoy this scholarship. Next, if you are a high school student applying for a scholarship in college, then you must have a general weighted average of 85% and above. The same is true with students that are applying for this scholarship who are already currently in college. Next, you have to be single in order to be considered for this scholarship. And then the most critical is you have to pass their qualifying exam. Now, this qualifying exam, it's very structured. It's not biased at all because it was made by DOST. So DOST is the one who makes these exams, and this exam is actually also taken by students who are trying to qualify for DOST scholarship. You don't have to worry if you are not a beneficiary of an OFW. You can qualify for the DOST or the Department of Science and Technology scholarships. So from what I know, DOST provides 40,000, and on top of that, they also provide other allowances. So I will be leaving the link down below for this scholarship. So you can read on them and check the specific details. By the way, if you're interested with owwa scholarship or DOST scholarship, you should apply to the nearest offices where you live. So as for me, since I'm from Baguio, I applied through owwa CAR or Cordillera Administrative Region. Thanks to my mom and my sister, they were actually the ones who discovered this scholarship. I didn't know anything about scholarships back then. But yeah, I guess I did well in high school for me to be able to qualify for this scholarship. So this is a motivation for you to study well, study hard, because it does really pay off sooner than you can imagine. And I'm also very thankful to owwa CAR. The people there, they were always approachable and they were always helpful, and they would conduct SEM and their reviews. So it really helped me a lot in assessing my study habits and just appreciating the scholarship that I had and studying well. So back to my story about taking the qualifying exam. I was actually sick that day. I had measles after getting anti-measles vaccine. It's one of the weird side effects of getting a vaccine. It actually makes you have it sooner, but yeah, I just remember being sick. The exam that was made by DOST, which we took, we as in other students who were trying to qualify for owwa scholarships that day as well. We took the same exam as the DOST scholarship qualifiers were taking on the very same day. So it was just a basketball court full of examinees. We were a lot, you know, like they had to line us up outside of the building and then make us enter one by one and have us seated. And the exam covered a lot of topics, even logics, they had that, science, math, and even some behavioral assessment, like self-assessment. And at the end of the exam, I was actually crying because I had fever and my legs, they were very itchy because of the measles. Disclaimer, I was just developing the measles during that day, and it was a 4-hour exam. So by the end of the exam, the itchiness was already starting to bother me, but I did not go there knowing full well I had measles. I only knew after that day and after consulting a doctor. It was one of the most memorable memories I had. I was crying at the end of the exam because I was not able to finish the self-assessment questions. Luckily, those self-assessment questions, they weren't really graded. I think they were just fillers, kind of just a way for the institution, owwa or DOST, to assess your behavioral aspects. So yeah, I think after a month of taking that exam and weeks before entering college, my parents told me that I was able to pass. It was great. It made me motivated and it made me excited to go to college at that time. And owwa CAR, they really prepare their scholars. So I just remember attending lots of workshop about studying habits, workshop about leadership, workshop about careers. So they brought us, me and my fellow scholars, to bond with each other, to resorts and have this beautiful, inspiring workshops. And they would kind of make us do activities and make us present in front of our fellow scholars. And it did help me build confidence and help me develop my public speaking skills. So, and I'm very, very thankful to owwa CAR. So, yeah, it was pleasant for me. Maintaining the scholarship was definitely not easy, but owwa was actually very understanding. So, they are not brutal when it comes to general weighted average. So, once you are able to qualify a scholarship, there will actually be conditions wherein if you fail, they can actually still give you chances. They're not going to just rip off the scholarship benefit from you and leave you to pay for your tuition on your own. So they give second and third chances actually. So I did fail 2 subjects in college. So I'm not that smart. But they gave me chances. The first subject that I failed was when I was already 4th year, because there are 5 years in the engineering school that I attended. So failing for the first time, I actually really took it hard and I was kind of depressed. I didn't know how to approach them, and I was actually also afraid to lose the scholarship, but there was a process to it. You know, they assessed me and they asked me basically what went wrong. And yeah, they were able to understand why, and yeah, they were able to give me chances. So they're not that brutal. So all of those things will be included in the contract or the agreement. So you also have to take note, there's also bonds to this kind of scholarships being offered by the government. So the bond that I had is that I have to work here in the Philippines for years that is equivalent to the number of years that I did enjoy the scholarship. So that's 5 years for me, and actually it's been 5 years since I've already graduated in college. So let's talk about my experience with the benefits of the EDSP scholarship that I was able to get. At that time, the 60,000 actually covered most of my expenses. My tuition fees at that time per sem was less than 30,000. So I was actually also able to get the extra. So for example, I would only pay 24,000 per sem. Since we only had 2 semesters for the academic year, my second sem tuition fee was less than 30,000 as well. So at the end of the year, I was able to get the remaining amount from the 60,000. So yeah, that's kind of like my reward every school year. I also had the option to take up summer classes or advanced unit. So for that case, since the subjects weren't actually listed in the official academic year or the official academic calendar for my degree, then if I did enroll for a summer class, that's what we called it back then, or advanced unit, then I had to pay for those out of pocket. So, or my parents did. But yeah, essentially, if you're not going to take up any classes outside of your official calendar year, then owwa CAR will be covering that expense as long as it's within the 60,000 grant. So when it comes to the releasing of the budget, they were always timely. So they would actually also give me a letter if the budget is not yet like in hand or in the bank, or it's not yet in a check. So they would give me a letter that I will give out to my school admin. It was a promissory letter saying that owwa CAR will be the one to pay my tuition. So the school should exempt me from paying anything in order to be able to enroll. And that was nice because I just remember my peers or fellow students lining up these long lines, but I wouldn't have to line up for so many hours, and we would also be one of the priorities in school. So that was nice as well. One of the perks of being a scholar. So you should achieve being a scholar as well. So yeah, I admit that I never had a bad day trying to enroll during college. I didn't have to line up to pay tuition or to sign up for units because we were the first ones to enroll every start of the sem. So yeah, that was really great. For my tip to be able to maintain a scholarship is to actually be friends with people who are also scholars. I'm not saying to be selective of people that you talk to in college. You can't really do that. But you know, your environment and the people around you will actually have a great influence on you. So my advice would be, you know, find a group of friends that are going through the same thing. Like for example, if you're a scholar, it would be actually a great help to mingle with scholars or be friends with scholars because they are going through the same thing as you. And when I was in college, I've always been friends with people who I think were a level higher than me, just because I think that they will be able to teach me things, whether it's about our lessons or whether it's about behavioral aspects. And I think that I really enjoyed being around those people too, because I wasn't slacking on my studies just to party all night. Nothing of that sort. My friends and I were like really nerdy people, I would say. And we like hanging out at the library, playing board games if you don't want to study. Those were the great years. And yeah, so if you're someone who is trying to find ways to be able to have your degree for an affordable amount, I hope that you'll be able to find a good scholarship for you. Make sure that you don't take that for granted once you have it. So I think that's it for my video today. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I hope this gives you hope in finishing your college education. There are a lot of ways out there. Just do your research, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions regarding my experience as an academic government scholar, please feel free to comment down below. I will be answering your questions happily, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys!